All right, some of you may have noticed that I got this in the garage. I've never really pointed out. I have another channel for my car stuff, but it's been pretty much ignored. I have a nice car still that I drive around, but I haven't been building on them much since I moved up here. Health problems and all. So I just kind of drive it, take care of it, make a few changes here and there. But it's 2002 Mustang GT, nothing special. It's got 59,000 original miles. It's a Southern car, California, Virginia. And I've lived in Michigan a couple years, and it's never been driven a handful of times. Not in the rain, not in the snow. So the underneath looks like it should for 59,000 miles. There's no rust, and it's very nicely kept. And I'm a door jamb cleaner and all that kind of stuff. But the car is fairly modified. It's got the original 4.62 valve, but it's got a Vortex supercharger that runs about 13.5 pounds of boost. It's original engine. It's got a lot of modifications of the fuel injectors and the computer system. It's tuned by me. It's another little past history part of my life. I was the first SCT tuner and did many years of tuning all sorts of these types of cars and teaching a lot of the shops on the East Coast how to do it. And health made me retire from that years ago. But the car, runs like it should. It's got a big homemade air intercooler setup on it. I can probably link some pictures in. But the front suspension has been, the brakes are essentially stock. They're stock rotors, but they're high carbon rotors with Hawk racing pads on it. All the bushings on the front of the car are completely polyurethane, from all the steering rack bushings. The rod ends are all Heim joints now. All the ball joints have been replaced. The steering rack, I think I mentioned those. Those are polyurethane. And the control arm bushings are all poly, even though this is a stock K member. I tend to like the stock K member better because, well, it actually aligns and holds and is much more quieter than most of the K members out, the aftermarket K members. Of course, there is a considerable weight difference, but I've modified this so that with maximum motorsports adjustable caster camber plates, it runs a ½ degree negative camber on each side, 5.5 degrees of caster on both sides evenly, and the toe, I believe, is stock. The rear is 0 to ½ degree on the. That's the other thing. It does have a Cobra IRS. I'll link pictures to that that has been fully prepared with the Maximum Motorsport racing kit. So everything's all in the back is Delrin and neoprene for the mounting points, and it's got all the reinforcements on the diff covers and all that stuff. It's got the whole works back there. Like I said, I'll link in pictures. And so because of that, it's got a Cobra IRS exhaust system in it, Bassani cats, 410 gears. The interior's in very good shape. I probably shouldn't even open the door because the car has not been cleaned in months. But there really isn't much wrong with it. There's no real wear or anything because it's got 59,000 miles. There's never been kids or women or anybody else in it. The guy that owned it before me was a good friend. Pyatt drove it by himself. He didn't have a lot of family, and the guy before him let it sit. He was a busy guy in the military and didn't get a lot of opportunity to drive it. So it hasn't been a real abuser. The paint on it's getting a little tired because it's 20 years old, and it has been driven, and isn't always driven like Granny going to the store, but it needs to be cleaned up. It's a little dusty in here. Up in Michigan, when you do drive, there's a lot of dusty roads, a lot of dirt roads, but in just a few minutes, I can look almost like brand new. It's got the Monte Carlo bar on it. The intercooler is all custom. I did everything. It's all heat wrapped and coated. It's got a lot of JMS equipment on it. SCT mass air meter, 42-pound injectors. I've run 60, but I like the way it ran better with 42s. It's a little bit. The 60s were really big for such a small engine, and getting it to idle just perfectly sometimes wasn't exactly. In all conditions wasn't easy to do. It could be done. I just got tired of playing with it. Put the 42s in, problem goes away. 42s make more than enough power for this car. It probably makes somewhere around 500 at the flywheel with that kind of boost. I've never dynoed it. I don't need a dyno. I can tune the cars without that. I know people are going to go nuts, but that's how I do it. I could use a dyno, but I know these particular engines and computer codes so well. I know exactly where I've got portable wideband gear in the car. In fact, there's a system always in the car from Daytona Sensors. So I know exactly where the mixture goes, and I know exactly how much timing the engine will stand with this type of intake air temperature setup. So I don't really need a dyno. It makes what it makes, and it's been doing it for maybe 15 years on this stock engine, and it runs like new still. So yes, it can be done. They can run right, and you don't always have to have it now. You just have a decent tuner. But what else? It's got big tires on it. You know, they're still 17-inch, but they're big on the front. Can't remember what they are. They're NATO 555s, and it says here they're 275 40/17s. On the back, they are 315 35/17. So there's almost a foot wide tire in the back, and you're generally in third gear before the car hooks up. And it's got a little too much gear in it probably, but you know what? I like them that way. The only downside of the car is the fact that it's 20-year-old paint. In some places it's wearing a little thin. The sun's gotten to the spoiler from being down south. And then there's just a couple places where the paint is literally just kind of just chipping off in small places. But, you know, it's a Ford paint job and it's 20 years old. So it could very easily be touched up and become a very nice car. But I don't know. My interests have moved on. I'm actually consider selling it, but she's a good running car. Maybe I'll get it started up here in a minute. But she sounds good, runs good, doesn't make any noise. The only thing you hear is exhaust rumble and supercharger whistle, just like you should. These 4.6s, unless you overtime them and run them lean or just run them out of oil, you do those three things, take care of, you do not do those three things, and they'll just about run forever. So, but anyway, this between the full-length sub connectors, the IRS subframe, and this Monte Carlo bar, this is the stiffest Mustang I've ever driven. It does not move. It does not wiggle. The extra caster in the steering makes it turn in very sharp. It'll do a U-turn where it wouldn't do one before, but it's almost so sharp that you can get so much more turn in and out of the front steering, that you can actually feel the tires scuff a little bit when you're turning at max lock. So there's it's a very responsive car on the road. It's got Coney shock, non-adjustable shocks all the way around, shocks and struts, and they're street stuff, but they're just about right for this spring package setup. The car is very firm. It's not too firm, and it's not jarring. In fact, the balance is so good that you can hit big bumps, and it doesn't unsettle the car, and it doesn't jar the car. So the car still isn't a big squeaky, rattly mess like a lot of them are at this age. At this age, it's very tight. Pretty happy, pretty proud of the way this car stayed together. But anyway, I figured somebody might be interested in hearing about it. Maybe I'll pop some videos or I'll definitely put some pictures of the intercooler and the IRS setup and things like that when I was doing all the work on that. But anyway, curiosity. Hopefully that's all. Thanks.